This episode is about rare forgotten pictures of Thanksgiving you have never seen before. Thanksgiving dinner, 1950s. One man proudly holds a giant turkey, a symbol of hard work and tradition. A vintage Thanksgiving dinner from the 1930s. A warm glimpse into a family gathering filled with gratitude and timeless tradition. This rare 1900s photo shows an early Thanksgiving celebration, with families in pilgrim costumes celebrating gratitude, harvest, and togetherness. Historical Thanksgiving photograph from the early 20th century, showing families gathered in traditional attire, celebrating gratitude, harvest, and community. Antique 1920s Thanksgiving portrait of a family gathered around the table, sharing food, tradition, and heartfelt gratitude from a bygone era. Rare vintage black and white image of a Thanksgiving feast, showing families gathered around the table, sharing food, tradition, and simple moments of gratitude. Thanksgiving Day Parade, 1984. Giant balloons, marching bands, and crowds lining the streets, capturing the festive spirit of New York in the holiday season. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, 1930. Early giant balloons, lively crowds, and the charm of New York City celebrating the holiday in true vintage style. Vintage mid-1900s Thanksgiving Parade photo, showing festive floats, marching bands, and crowds celebrating the holiday spirit in classic American style. Old Thanksgiving postcard from 1905, showing a young child with a turkey, surrounded by harvest symbols and a warm holiday message from the past. Vintage 1940s Thanksgiving photo of a turkey dinner, with family gathered around the table, sharing food, laughter, and holiday traditions. Historical photograph depicting pilgrims and Native Americans during Thanksgiving, symbolizing the early sharing of food, peace, and unity in American history. Vintage 1920s photograph of a Thanksgiving gathering on a farm, with families sharing food, tradition, and the simple joys of rural life. Old black and white Thanksgiving scene in rural America, showing families gathered together, sharing food, gratitude, and the quiet charm of country life. Vintage photograph of children dressed in pilgrim outfits for Thanksgiving, capturing innocence, tradition, and early holiday celebrations. Old photo capturing historic Thanksgiving traditions, with families sharing food, gratitude, and timeless holiday customs. Forgotten 1930s Thanksgiving kitchen scene, showing women preparing food, warm family traditions, and the simple charm of holiday cooking. Early 1900s antique photo of a Thanksgiving dinner, with a traditional American family gathered around the feast in a vintage dining room. Rare Thanksgiving historical photograph of a cornucopia and harvest table, symbolizing abundance and gratitude in early American culture. Old Thanksgiving church service photograph from the 1900s, showing families attending prayers and giving thanks in a small-town chapel. A dining table which has been set for Thanksgiving, filled with traditional dishes, candles, and the warmth of an awaiting family gathering. Vintage black and white photograph of Thanksgiving turkey cooking in a rustic kitchen, representing old-fashioned holiday traditions. Old 1940s Thanksgiving celebration around a fireplace, with a family enjoying warmth, food, and laughter during the holiday season. Vintage Thanksgiving decorations and pumpkin photographs from the 1950s, showcasing classic autumn decor and harvest displays. Historic Thanksgiving Day school play photograph, showing children dressed as pilgrims and Native Americans, celebrating history in costume. Historic Thanksgiving Day School Play photograph, showing children dressed as pilgrims and Native Americans, celebrating history in costume. Vintage Thanksgiving photograph of a Native American reenactment, showing cultural representation and historical remembrance. Old Thanksgiving Outdoor Harvest Festival image featuring families celebrating with music, games, and food in a rural field. Historic Thanksgiving feast in colonial costume photograph, showing early settlers sharing a meal in traditional attire. Rare Thanksgiving historical image of children dressed for trick-or-treat style festivities, blending early holiday traditions. Vintage Thanksgiving snapshot in a small town from the 1930s, showing a family enjoying dinner with candlelight and laughter. Old Thanksgiving dinner table photograph loaded with homemade food, turkey and pumpkin pies, celebrating abundance and family unity. Historic Thanksgiving family pose before meal photograph, showing everyone gathered around the table ready to say grace. Vintage Thanksgiving procession photo in the town square, featuring floats, marching bands, and classic 1940s celebration vibes. Old Thanksgiving harvest scene with pumpkins, corn, and families gathering the final autumn produce for the feast. Historic Thanksgiving church service captured in vintage photograph, where townspeople come together for prayers of gratitude. Vintage Thanksgiving after-dinner gathering image, showing families relaxing, telling stories, and enjoying dessert and coffee. Old photograph of an early Thanksgiving celebration from the 1910s, showing simple living, home-cooked food, and heartfelt joy. Vintage Thanksgiving dining room interior photograph, showing antique furniture, candlelight, and traditional tableware. Historic Thanksgiving in a vintage rural setting photograph, showing families enjoying a countryside holiday meal in the barn. Antique Thanksgiving reenactment photograph from the 1940s depicting pilgrims and Native Americans sharing food in harmony. Past vibes. Vintage Thanksgiving photo featuring antique tableware and handmade decorations that capture the nostalgic charm of 1930s celebrations. A forgotten and old Thanksgiving family portrait with grandparents from the 1950s, symbolizing generational togetherness and love. Old Thanksgiving family portrait with grandparents from the 1950s, symbolizing generational togetherness and love. Rare photos from the vintage era. Vintage Thanksgiving in Boston or Plymouth Colony photograph, showing historic roots of America's first Thanksgiving traditions. A retro image. Old Thanksgiving turkey carving family photograph, showing mothers slicing the turkey as children eagerly wait at the table. A forgotten moment of past. Historic Thanksgiving meal prepared at home 1920s photograph, showing homemakers cooking with love in a vintage kitchen. A retro image. Vintage Thanksgiving gathering around a bonfire photograph where friends and family share laughter under the night sky. Vintage history. Old photograph of Thanksgiving children helping in the kitchen, learning family recipes and enjoying the festive atmosphere. History of Thanksgiving. Historic Thanksgiving celebration on farmland photograph showing harvesters after gathering crops and sitting on a cargo truck with their crops. Vintage Thanksgiving memory photograph from 1935 showing black and white images of a cheerful family dinner. Some forgotten historical moments of families. Old Thanksgiving dinner with vintage clothing photograph showing traditional attire and antique dining setups. Historic Thanksgiving community feast photograph showing townsfolk gathered in a hall sharing food and stories. Long table celebrations and gatherings. Vintage Thanksgiving image of family giving thanks before their meal, hands folded and hearts full of gratitude. Families always waited for this day every year. Old Thanksgiving night photograph under candlelight showing warm lighting and heartfelt family moments from the 1930s. Historic Thanksgiving vintage photograph in black and white showing pilgrims and early settlers celebrating harvest blessings. Vintage Thanksgiving photograph with harvest produce and a festive table full of food and seasonal decor. A forgotten family gatherings during vintage era. Old Thanksgiving morning family group photograph taken before the feast, capturing excitement and love which may have lost nowadays. Historic Thanksgiving photograph from New England in 1900s, showing a traditional family gathering in cold weather when the wind was so chill. Historical image of an early American Thanksgiving table setting with candles, turkey, and homemade pies from the 1920s countryside. Vintage Thanksgiving photo of Frank Sinatra, capturing a classic holiday moment with timeless charm and old Hollywood elegance. Man holding a Thanksgiving feast in asterisk heaven for Betsy asterisk, while a young girl peeks from behind, capturing a playful and heartwarming holiday moment. Alexis Smith in 1942, cutting the Thanksgiving turkey, a classic holiday moment filled with glamour and tradition. Laurel and Hardy in front of a Thanksgiving table, holding turkey legs in their hands and eating, capturing a humorous and festive holiday moment. A woman lying down on Thanksgiving Day with a live turkey standing in front of her, creating an unusual yet classic holiday moment. A little girl on Thanksgiving Day, watching the turkey on the table with deep curiosity and excitement in her eyes. A vintage image of celebrations. Alfred Hitchcock in Los Angeles, 1973, standing and holding a dead turkey in his hand, capturing a darkly iconic Thanksgiving moment. A forgotten image of an elderly lady with a little girl, both excited as a turkey sits on the table, capturing a warm Thanksgiving moment. A young girl sitting on a giant turkey, creating a whimsical and imaginative Thanksgiving scene that blends innocence, fantasy, and vintage holiday charm. A man sitting on a chair, smiling as he looks at the cooked turkey on the table, while a woman in the background continues cooking, capturing a warm Thanksgiving moment. Joan Crawford on Thanksgiving Day, gracefully cutting the turkey, capturing classic Hollywood elegance and festive celebration. A beautiful young lady on Thanksgiving Day, standing in front of a well-decorated table, surrounded by food, warmth, and festive charm. A beautiful young lady on Thanksgiving Day, standing in front of a well-decorated table, surrounded by food, warmth, and festive charm. A vintage color photo of a family gathered around the Thanksgiving table, sitting together and joyfully enjoying the festive meal. Thanksgiving, 1955. An elderly woman cooking the turkey with 2 children by her side, learning and helping in the warm holiday kitchen. Laurel and Hardy dressed as pilgrims for Thanksgiving, bringing humor to the historic holiday with their classic expressions and playful charm. A boy and girl posing on Thanksgiving in Pilgrim's Progress, dressed in traditional pilgrim clothing, capturing early holiday spirit. On Thanksgiving Day, a mother holds the cooked turkey. An elderly lady stands beside her while her son watches the feast eagerly. Dinner time, Thanksgiving. A girl closely watching at the cooked turkey on the table, with mouth watering. Vintage picture of an elderly woman standing in front of a Thanksgiving dinner table, capturing a classic holiday moment. Weird vintage Thanksgiving photo of a woman pushing 2 turkeys in a cart, creating a quirky and unusual holiday scene. Turkey Day. Classic black and white photo showing Thanksgiving celebrations 50 years ago, with a family cooking the turkey together in the kitchen. Hilarious photo of a couple smiling as they enjoy eating a Thanksgiving turkey, capturing a joyful and festive moment. A woman carefully feeding her turkey before Thanksgiving, capturing a charming and heartwarming pre-holiday moment filled with care and tradition. Thanksgiving with the Crawfords, a spooky, horror-like scene capturing an eerie and unusual holiday celebration. Vintage Thanksgiving picture of a family gathered around the table, eagerly waiting for the holiday dinner, sharing anticipation. A humorous vintage Thanksgiving image of an elderly lady holding a turkey, capturing a playful and charming moment full of holiday spirit and laughter. Welcome to Vintage Photos. Step back in time with me into a world of vintage photographs. From the streets of 1800s New York to the festivals, wars, and celebrations of the 1900s, every picture tells a forgotten story. Celebrities, bridges, parades, and everyday moments that shaped history. Subscribe, and let's bring the past back to life, one photo at a time.